Welcome back to ESPR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted to be joined by Paul Kelly. Paul, we've just seen the weigh-in for Inoue versus Fulton, or Fulton versus Inoue, I should say. Didn't see it live because it was in the middle of the night our time, but so it doesn't quite feel like the same because other people have reacted to this already. But nonetheless, looking forward to discussing this with you. Bit of a feisty weigh-in, kind of had to be pulled apart, but no one kind of threw any punches or anything like that. Um, both made weight, which is kind of important to say there. Fulton did look kind of bigger, quite a lot bigger than Inoue earlier in the week during the fight week events. And that you mentioned off air there, when it comes to in the ring, it'll be interesting to see the size difference between the two of them. Your general reaction to the weigh-in, Paul?
Yeah, thanks, Elliot. I just think that, well, as you alluded to, first and foremost, we're glad they both made weight, no issues there. So we got ourselves a fight, and yeah, just looking at the way I think both men look really good in the scales, actually. As we mentioned, I think Fulton's only an inch or two taller than Inoue. Obviously, Inoue, but he used to campaign down at light flyweight, not a few years back, then superfly and bantamweight as well. So you can tell he's the smaller man. He has said obviously in the build up to this that he feels super bantamweight could be his perfect weight. So if that is the case, RIP everybody. But no, Fulton, I think they both look really good on the scales. I think as you mentioned again, Elliot, just prior to this video as well, I think it'll be really interesting to see when they both step foot into the ring, on Tuesday, just how much bigger Fulton looks
Yeah.
because he's a career super bantamweight, and as you mentioned in fight week events at the press conference and all, he was noticeably bigger
Mm.
than Inoue. Obviously, both weighed in at the same weight, but you could even tell when they were facing off, he's a bit wider and a bit thicker than Inoue. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that plays a big part on Tuesday.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think in no way he's moved up in weight because he's kind of had to, because he can no longer make bantamweight. He's moved up because there's no more real challenges at bantamweight, and yeah, wanted to move up and see who he can face there. As you mentioned, both made weight. I feel like with Stephen Fulton, he's got like quite a bushy-ish beard, so it's hard to tell if his face was drawn at all. But to me, he looked. I just thought he looked quite healthy. To be honest, he didn't look like he'd struggled too much. He's been at that weight for quite a while. He's experienced at that weight, so you did wonder kind of maybe could this be his last fight or second last fight at super bantamweight before he moves up to featherweight. Um, yeah, just kind of your final thoughts on Fulton's appearance there, considering it's been 8-9 years that he's been making the super bantamweight limit there.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think he looks superb, really. As big beard, so can't see if his face is drawn, but like even his cheeks and stuff. Yeah, every fighter's going to look a little bit drawn, when they're making weight, and no matter what weight division it is, because every fighter has to cut a good bit of weight, but especially down at super bantam, 122 pounds. I was surprised because I thought they're both professionals, and I think that obviously this is such a huge fight. There was no way either of them were going to miss weight. But yeah, does Fulton look maybe better than I expected? Probably, which is which kind of I like the sound of, given my how I think this fight will play out.
Yeah, and I think in terms of the fact Fulton, look, he's based in America. He's flown out to Japan, very different place to where he's from. I imagine it's taken a while to adjust to the climate, be interested to know what sort of food he's been eating since he's been there, considering he's still got to make weight. Um, and yeah, so I thought he looked good, he looked comfortable. Just final question, Paul. I think it got a bit heated like towards the end. Like I don't think anyone was on the verge of lashing out at anyone. I think you can tell fighters have a lot of respect for each other. At the same time, I do think there's a language barrier there. I don't think Nui speaks English, and I'm pretty sure Fulton doesn't speak Japanese. So there wasn't really going to be much of a back and forth. So therefore, there wasn't. Just your thoughts on the look of both fighters towards the end of that face off there.
Yeah, I love it. You love a good intense face off, don't you? Um, sometimes get a little bit over the top, but this obviously wasn't the case here. But you could tell they were both glaring at each other. You know, when the person comes in to split them up, and they're both still staring at each other. I love seeing that, and yeah, I mean, it says they got separated at the way, and it wasn't really like someone's security having to get involved or anything. But no, I really liked it. I think it shows that neither man's backing down here. Obviously, they're boxers. That's a profession, but like normally sometimes you can see it away and see how people look. Like people were even saying about Maxi Hughes, how the when he weighed in there against Cambosos last weekend, that people were more confident he was gonna win just because of the way he didn't look like he was backing down for Cambosos or wasn't intimidated. And that's the same here for me. Neither man looks intimidated by the other. It would be quite easy to get intimidated by Inoue, in my opinion, just given his kind of reputation, especially in Japan and all as well. I'd say the crowd was very much against Fulton, but yeah, I think both men look great in the scales, and yeah, I enjoyed that little stare down the head.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All set up for a fantastic fight tomorrow. Paul, we'll leave things there. We are going to do a final predictions video, so please do check that out on this channel. It will be going live today. For Paul and I's final predictions ahead of tomorrow night, Stephen Fulton versus Naoya Inoue at Super Bantamweight. Paul, thank you very much for your time. I will speak to you again soon.
Cheers, mate. All the best.